All right, next up, we've got Florida, Kentucky. It is Kentucky 2.5, 3-point home favorites, 46 the total in this one. Very interesting matchup because we know Georgia's the king of the SEC East. We know that. But you can make a case, Kentucky is up there, in the pecking order. I think now you got to actually elevate Florida a little bit, with the way they've played this year. Other than the loss at Utah, their only loss, they took care of business in the other 3 games, including a big home win as 4.5-point home dogs against Tennessee. But now you got to go on the road, and we've only seen one bit of evidence of Florida on the road, and it was not pretty for Graham Mertz and the Gators offense, only scoring 11 points. Great Utah defense, we know that. But can they do it here at Kentucky? I like what I see from Kentucky. What I like from Kentucky is they've got the experience at quarterback with Devin Leary, the NC State transfer. They've got Ray Davis and Juta McClain in the backfield. They've got a pretty good receiving core. Barrion Brown is definitely someone to watch out for. Great receiver here for Kentucky. They've won all 4 games. Now the schedule's been a little light here. Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron, a Vanderbilt team that has played nowhere close to as good as we thought they might this season. And Kentucky whipped them 45-28 in that game. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. Florida, definitely a team that we think of, wants to run the football a little bit more than throw it. The run game for Florida is 4.4 yards per carry, 164.8 yards per game. Kentucky's run defense has been very good, but they've also faced a weaker schedule. Keep that in mind. But still, the run defense for Kentucky's been very good. The way I see it is Graham Mertz is probably going to have to make some plays. Graham Mertz is going to have to, try to move the football in the pocket. And he has shown a greater ability this year to run more. Not that he's running a lot, but he's doing it a little bit more this year under Billy Napier here at Florida than he did at Kentucky. And I definitely think when you look at the matchup, Kentucky's run defense pretty solid. He's going to have to make some throws in a tough environment on the road to win this game. I don't trust him yet. And I know he faced Utah, probably a better defense than what Kentucky has, better team, but I got to see it on the road before I'm ready to trust Florida in a price range, Conor, where they have to win to cover a point spread and win to cash a ticket. I don't trust them just yet. So the lean is Kentucky, and someone in the chat liking the over, I kind of lean that way too. It's pretty low, and I think Florida has shown some glimpses of good play on offense at times. I don't think their defense is still great, Florida, by any stretch. And I think you could even say that about Kentucky's defense. Keep in mind, Kentucky has not faced any sort of good offense really yet this year other than Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt got to 28, against that Kentucky defense. So 46, I probably would lean over here. What do you think, Conor?
Yeah, but I do think Florida's defense is pretty good. Held Tennessee. They did have more yards in that game and probably should have scored some more points. And then last week, they only scored 22, but only gave up 7 to Charlotte. This used to be Florida would just mop Kentucky, but 3 of the last 5 years, Kentucky's beat them. So they're live. I don't just make of it. They got a bunch of turnovers early, jumped on Vandy, and then even Leary had some picks and kind of let him hang around. We just talked about they scored 28 to Vandy at home. I'd rather have the better defense. And Kentucky just hasn't played anybody if you went through. These have just been cakewalk games. Last year they started 5-0. This would be a big win. But I'd rather have right now, as I see a little bit of the better defense. It's just a lean to Florida, but I don't know if I get around to bet it.
Yeah, this is an interesting game because I don't think Kentucky's been good. I think people thought Kentucky would definitely be better than Florida this year, but Kentucky has played good but not great with a light schedule. Florida has played a little bit better than people expected, and they had Tennessee and Utah, on their schedule already. So that's what makes this – it's not a shoe-in for me that I'm jumping to take Kentucky here. But before the season, if you would have told me in this game Kentucky's only laying 2.5 at home, I would have jumped on it. I'm not jumping on it as much right now, but I still lean to Kentucky here, less than a field goal at home. And by the way, I know there's people that buy into this theory. The ranked team, road underdog against an unranked home favorite, and people bet the unranked home favorite, in these kind of spots. I'm not saying that means Kentucky's going to win and cover, but there's a lot of people that subscribe to that theory. You take the small unranked home favorite against the ranked underdog, and we'll see if that comes through here with Kentucky against Florida.